Growing potatoes from seed potatoes, sowing to harvest. Before direct sowing, I cut these potatoes to smaller sizes to grow more plants from one potato. When determining how to cut them, I look for sides with 2 or 3 sprouts, then I cut a narrower side, and each one of those is what I plant. I remain alert during this process and make sure I use a clean blade. What I look out for are damaged or brown spots in the potatoes. These will be the most likely to get a fungal disease and damage your plant and possibly others near it. Those I just discard. Seed potatoes are best potatoes to start potatoes from. Store-bought potatoes are sometimes not the best suited for the grow zone and are sprayed with the hormone that blocks sprouts growth for longer storage. My garden zone is 8A, and varieties that do well in my hardiness zones are thin-skinned potatoes. I'm sowing Yukon Gold variety and Adirondack Blue. After potatoes are cut, I don't sow right away. I store them in a dark, dry location for a few days to allow the cut surfaces to scar. This also will help prevent diseases when planted. After a few days, they are ready to go. Like any other crop, before sowing, I prep the area, making sure conditions are ideal for potatoes. They grow underground, so loose soil is preferred. I'm a fan of the no-till method, which is where I lay the garden area with cardboard that is made from recyclable organic material that decomposes over time into the soil. It creates great conditions for worms and retains moisture for root while suppressing weeds. This process is just laying cardboard and covering with composted soil. I prep the soil with black cow, some organic topsoil, peat moss, and balanced NPK fertilizer. In my grow zone, it's best to start at the end of February through mid-March. They enjoy the early spring cool season. A few days later, I grabbed the scarred potatoes that were stored away in a dark, dry place in my shed. The sliced parts develop a layer of crust. That's what a healed potato ready for planting looks like. Not all these will fit in my raised bed. I'll select the ones with most sprouts to plant now and allow the other sliced pieces that didn't have 2 to 3 sprouts on them to stay in the dark, dry area in my shed a little longer, and then plant those in my 5-gallon grow bags. Before I go any further, I want to remind everyone watching to please subscribe to my channel, 2 green thumbs with a Z, and like, comment, and share my content. Next, I measure out the spacing for the potatoes so I can utilize as much space as I can in this bed without having them not too close to each other for decent sized potatoes. I made 3 rows and spaced all potatoes about 10 inches apart. I then covered with the soil mix and waited for the miracle to happen. A couple weeks later, after planting and watering almost daily, the first sprouts began to emerge through the pine straw mulch, and then a couple weeks later, all have sprouted and grew about 6 to 10 inches tall. This is where I add more fertilizer and soil to hill or mound the potato plants. I blend another mix with the same ingredients as before when they first started, and before applying that mix to the plants, I loosen soil around the sides and mound the loose soil around the plant. Then I begin to add the soil mix to feed the potatoes and mulch again. Potatoes grow in the roots of the plants. The purpose of hilling is to encourage more loose soil around the stem for roots to grow that will turn into more potatoes per plant, and looser soil will make it easier for the potato to grow larger. I did the hilling process twice during the life cycle of the potato plants. The last time I added a fertilizer that was more high in phosphorus and potassium than nitrogen to encourage and feed the plant with nutrients that target more underground growth for roots and potatoes during this stage in the plant's growth cycle. The way I did the second hilling was slightly different. Instead of mixing fertilizer with compost mix, I side dressed the organic fertilizer directly around the base of the plants and worked in by scratching the surface of the soil with the hand rake. Then I added the soil mix and mounted up the soil to the base of the plants and mulched again. Each time I mounted the soil, I covered lower leaves of the plant but only leaving the top of the plants exposed, about 4 to 8 inches of it. Quick recap on growing potatoes so far at this point. Number 1, research a variety of potatoes that grow well in your hardiness zone and make a feeding schedule of how often you will fertilize and mound potatoes. These varieties I'm sowing take 80 to 100 days, and I did 2 moundings after sowing potato. I also use liquid fish fertilizer a few times while watering. Number 2, allow seed potatoes to heal or scar after cutting sections to have at least 2 to 3 sprouts on each side. Number 3, each cutting should have only one sliced section. Avoid cutting pieces that have multiple open surfaces. Number 4, prep soil before sowing, adding a fertilizer before planting cut sections. And the 5th, which is probably the most important, is to water potatoes regularly. I did heavy waterings every other day, sometimes less if the moisture was well retained, or more if water evaporated quickly. Potatoes will look very healthy during their growing cycle, and a few things I look for to know when it's almost time for the harvest are when flower buds begin forming from the leaves of the potatoes. All plants don't flower at the exact same time. There were some early bloomers in my bunch, and they continue blooming for about 2 weeks after the first flowers appeared on the first potato leaves. After that process, the plant leaves will begin to fall back and die. At this point, plants should have potatoes, and if you want to be sure, just give them about a couple weeks before you pull them. I harvested 3 plants at 2 different times. The first were from the Yukon Gold, and the second were from the Adirondack Blue variety. Each plant provided an average of 4 potatoes ranging in size, from medium to small. I have a few more plants in the raised bed to dig up, and a few in grow bags that I planted about a month later. A tip I'd like to share about digging up potatoes to start loosening the soil furthest away from the plant and then slowly work towards the plant. And if the soil is loose enough, it's probably just best to search for potatoes by hands. Last thing I want to do is to spend 80 to 100 days caring for a plant just to damage the fruit of the harvest at the very last step. Store potatoes in a cool, dark location like a basement, for example, where temperatures are between 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit for long-term storage. Harvest potatoes can last several months in these conditions. The most important thing is that wherever you store it is dry. Alrighty, enough potato talk for now. If you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe to the 2 Green Thumbs channel and like, comment, and share the content. I constantly remind people when asking me for advice or tips. I'm no expert gardener. I share the information I've gathered over the years through my experiences on my garden adventures. Green Thumb isn't about the skill, but the passion. Let's share this passion and grow together. Your green thumb plus my green thumb equals 2 green thumbs. This is my harvest so far, my first time even hearing about the Adirondack Blue variety, and I must say I'm a proud gardener. The potato is aesthetically pleasing and unique, and with this level of difficulty, which I'd say was fairly easy, this will definitely be a variety I'll grow again. I'll save some from this year's harvest to repeat the whole process again next March for another early summer harvest. My personal goal is to grow as much food as I can, to have a garden with a variety of groceries, limiting my need for the market and becoming more self-sufficient. Each year the goal is achieved with more success, and growing my food is a huge life accomplishment, and it allows me to reconnect with nature. And I love the fact that I can use social media platforms such as this one to share my experience with the world.